Warships on the sea are not only a collection of steel, but also the embodiment of a country's strategic intentions, and on the 10th of April 2024 a Southeast Asian powerhouse purchased two 6,000-ton modern battleships in one fell swoop. These huge ships not only in tonnage can be called a behemoth, but also in the configuration of weapons, electronic equipment and other aspects of the advanced level. More surprising is that the country has been on the Chinese 052D type showed great interest. When the final procurement list was unveiled, we found that the 052D type was not selected. Such a large sum of money cannot help but let a person curious. Behind this in the end hidden, what strategic considerations? What exactly is the reason for this Southeast Asian powerhouse to make an unexpected choice between the 052D and another Western warship? The procurement of warships is never a simple matter. It is not only a transaction, but also a product of national strategic budget and political trade-offs. For the two 6,000-ton battleships purchased by Indonesia this time, the price has become the most direct and the most important factor that cannot be ignored. The two Paul D. Lefebvre class battleships, the total price of $1.27 billion, the cost of about $600 million for each ship. For a country, such a cost has been considerable. In contrast, the price of 052D destroyers much higher, although the specific price of 052D has not been made public. But it is widely believed in the industry that the price of a single ship is likely to be close to or over $1 billion for a developing country like Indonesia. Although its navy has expanded in recent years, budget is always a practical problem, especially Indonesia has recently purchased other types of warships. Financial pressure is not small. In this case, the choice of relatively moderate price, Paul D. Lefebvre class is obviously more cost-effective choice. Although the performance of the 052D is far more than the Paul D. Lefebvre class, with a strong long-range combat capability, anti-ship missiles and air defense systems. But this too high power may not meet its current needs. From the cost-effective point of view, choose a more in line with the needs of the current naval construction of warships. Not only can meet the basic needs of its maritime patrol, but also to ensure that the limited budget to complete more strategic layout. This luxury and practical trade-off, in fact, reflects Indonesia's pragmatic choice in arms procurement. This situation cannot help but make people think. In many cases, the choice of weapons and equipment is not simply the strongest wins, but also need to be based on practical needs, affordability and other aspects of consideration. In the case of Indonesia, 052D is a powerful warship, but its price and positioning for the country may seem too large. In the limited budget, choose a warship with the appropriate capabilities and can meet the current needs of the warships may be the most sensible choice. For Indonesia, the choice of a naval vessel depends not only on its performance, but also on whether it can meet the country's most pressing needs. As Indonesia is an archipelagic country with a maritime area of 3.166 million square kilometers, the issue of maritime security is undoubtedly part of the country's security, and in this geographical context, Indonesia is in dire need of warships capable of conducting extensive maritime patrols to secure its territorial waters and combat criminal and illegal activities at sea. The need for patrol vessels is therefore particularly important, and the Paul D. Lefebvre class, with a displacement of nearly 6,000 tons, is ideally suited to meet this need. Equipped with modern weapons systems and a strong air defense capability, especially the Kronos Starfire X-band radar and Kronos Quad C-band radar installed on board, can effectively deal with air threats with a certain degree of regional air defense capability. At the same time, the bridge Fredeck can be fitted with Silva A70 vertical launch system, also makes this warship in the air defense capability is not inferior to many advanced European destroyers. In contrast, the 052D destroyer's positioning is completely different, although it is also a large warship, with a displacement of more than 7,000 tons, and is equipped with the powerful Hawk series of anti-ship missiles and long-range anti-aircraft missiles. But its main task is not sea patrol. 052D is more suitable for ocean warfare, with strong sea control capabilities, able to carry out long-distance strikes and air defense tasks in the sea far from the mainland. While the 052D's strong operational capability is appealing, its operational range and mission orientation is too much higher than Indonesia's actual needs. What Indonesia needs more than anything else at the moment is a ship that can maintain a presence at sea, especially when they have such a vast sea area, and it is vital to ensure a smooth flow of traffic between the coast and the islands. The 052D's long-range strike capability, although it can provide strong support for the great naval powers to fight for maritime supremacy, but this ocean-going combat capability is too high-end, so Indonesia chose the Paul D. Lefebvre class instead of the 052D, precisely because it is more in line with the country's naval needs at this stage, especially in the protection of maritime security and the fight against maritime crime and other aspects of the needs. Many countries do not simply pursue high performance when choosing equipment, but rather make appropriate choices based on actual tasks and affordability. In fact, Indonesia's decision not to purchase China's 052D destroyers also has strategic considerations. The export of military equipment is not just about economic transactions and technical exchanges. It is more directly related to the country's strategic interests and regional security balance. The sale of certain weapons in the international defense market, especially the export of advanced warships, often need to take into account how not to break the regional military balance, which is precisely Indonesia in the choice of Paul D. Lefebvre class battleships rather than 052D. A key reason if Indonesia chooses the 052D destroyer will certainly break the existing military power pattern in Southeast Asia. 052D is one of the Chinese Navy's advanced destroyers, equipped with the Hawk series of anti-ship missiles, as well as a strong air defense capability. The addition of the 052D will enable the Indonesian Navy to rapidly increase its military status in Southeast Asia, and may even affect the balance of power in the Southern Hemisphere. Then once Indonesia has the 052D, it will quickly become a major threat to the Australian Navy, whose main ship, the Hobart-class destroyer, is equipped with 48 Mk-41 vertical launch systems, carrying Standard 2 missiles and Sea Sparrow, and other NATO conventional weapons. Although these weapons' configuration is not bad, but compared with the 052D, there is still a significant gap. So Indonesia is equipped with the 052D, it will immediately have the ability to threaten the Australian mainland. Especially in terms of maritime operations, Indonesia has such a strong naval power. Australia will certainly review its naval strategy in the Southern Hemisphere. Undoubtedly, it will cause the concern of neighboring countries, including Australia, and may even bring about drastic fluctuations in the regional security pattern. Therefore, Indonesia chose not to equip the 052D, which is more about the political stability and strategic balance of the neighboring regions. The choice of Paul D. Lefebvre class warships, not only to allow the Indonesian Navy to enhance maritime patrol capabilities at the same time, to avoid triggering unnecessary regional security risks, but also for the future of possible strategic adjustments to leave space. Through this, more moderate choice, Indonesia has avoided the external pressure brought about by overly powerful weaponry, thus maintaining a more flexible foreign policy and stable regional security pattern. Although Indonesia did not choose the 052D, but this does not mean that the 052D completely unattached to the future of Indonesia's warship procurement program. In fact, Indonesia as early as on a number of occasions, on the expression of interest in the 052D, International Defense Exhibition Indonesia's senior officials, and 052D model photo. This public statement undoubtedly conveys the country's strong concern about the 052D, and in the naval development plan announced by Indonesia, has also been mentioned in the 052D destroyer. Indonesia is not completely excluded from the 052D, but according to their own current naval needs and regional security situation, to make a more pragmatic choice. In the long run, Indonesia's choice is not closed, is for the possible future strategic transformation to leave room. With the changes in the maritime situation, Indonesia may be in the future at some point to reconsider the 052D. In particular, the 052D remains an attractive option if the regional security situation changes, or if Indonesia needs a stronger naval force to deal with the complex international situation. Indonesia's white space strategy in this procurement is based on strategic foresight for future development, and through this choice, Indonesia has met its current maritime patrol needs while retaining the space for a stronger naval force that may be needed in the future.